Good morning, children. Today we are going to see Chemistry Chapter 4 Metals and Non-Metals. So, in the last class, we discussed about the chemical properties of metals. I would include that link also because it was taken before term 1. You can watch that and then come back if you wanted to recall. So, today, anyway, we are going to compare and discuss about the chemical properties of non-metals with that of the metals. So this is the chemical properties of metals. The first case we discussed was reaction with oxygen. So whenever a metal reacting with oxygen forms oxides, metal oxide is formed. That is a rust formation in case of the iron. So iron reacting with oxygen forms FeO2 metal oxide, iron oxide. Okay. So in case of the moisture, oxygen plus water is nothing but the moisture. Okay. So in that case, FeOH thrice, hydroxides are formed. This is the reaction of metals with oxygen. Now let us see how do the non-metal react with oxygen. The non-metals, when reacting with oxygen, they form acidic gases. Okay, so as you know that the non-metals exist either in liquid or gaseous state. So sulfur is a gas which on reacting with oxygen forms sulfur dioxide, SO2 is formed. Okay, so when the sulfur dioxide on reacting with the moist, you can even write it as S plus O2 plus H2O gives you H2SO3. I have directly taken SO2 here, but how come the SO2 is formed? S plus O2 gives you SO2. So, sulfur on reacting with oxygen plus moisture. So, this is the moist air. In the atmospheric air, we have the moisture. So, on reacting with the atmospheric air, the non-metals will form acids, acidic gases. That is H2SO3 is your sulfurous acid, which is a gas. Okay, so now did you notice one thing? The non-metals on reacting with oxygen, they form the acidic gases. Okay, whereas your metals on reacting with oxygen, they form the oxides which are all basic in nature. So this is the difference of the chemical properties in case of metals and non-metals. The next is the reaction of non-metals with water. Usually the non-metals do not react with water because they exist either as liquid or gases only. Okay, so their reaction with water is not too high, but they are similar to your metals, like how the sodium is a very reactive metal. It was stored in kerosene, right? So based on the highly reactivity. Similar case in non-metals, phosphorus is the very reactive one, which when exposed to the atmospheric air catches fire easily. So it is stored in water. So did you remember that the reaction of metals? So reaction of metals with water, their reaction, that is the sodium, which is the highly reactive one, will be stored in kerosene. So whereas the non-metals on reacting with water, they usually don't react, but the special non-metals like phosphorus and all, which reacts highly on exposure to atmospheric air, they are stored in water. And the next one, reaction with acids in case of non-metals. The non-metals usually do not react with acids, but the metals, they do react and they form the salt with the pop sound. The pop sound indicates the explosion of hydrogen gas. Yes, do you remember this is the reaction of metals with acid? The metals on reacting with acid, they form the salt along with the pop sound. The pop sound indicates the production of hydrogen gases. That is what we discussed. Metals like magnesium, aluminium, iron, copper and all on reacting with hydrochloric acid. It is an acid. They produce the salt. NaCl is our salt. This example only we discussed in detail along with the production of hydrogen gas. This is The formation of salt along with the pop sound is possible in case of metals. Okay? Whereas the non-metals do not react with acids. And the reactions of non-metals with bases are generally complex reactions that you would be learning in your higher grades. So with this, you got to know the chemical properties of non-metals. How do they react with oxygen? How do the non-metals react with water? And their reaction with acids and bases are discussed. Next, we are going to see a new topic called, that is a displacement reaction. This displacement reaction is applicable for the metals. Okay, we are going to discuss the displacement reaction happening in metals alone. We don't want to consider about the non-metals. Okay, so this displacement reaction, what does it comes to tell us is, we are going to see it as an example case. While understanding this example case, you would get to know what is meant by displacement reaction. Okay, so to understand that, I'm just taking 5 beakers named as A, B, C, D, E. Okay, so in each beaker, I'm pouring 50 ml of water. All the 5 beakers are filled with 50 ml of water. Okay, and then in beaker A, I'm putting copper sulfate and zinc together. So, and allowing it to react. In beaker B, copper sulfate with iron. In beaker C, zinc sulfate plus copper. And in beaker D, iron sulfate plus copper. And in beaker E, zinc sulfate plus iron. Clear? So I'm leaving it for a few minutes and I wanted to have a look at the reactions on mixing these two metals. What did I observe was, in beaker A, the copper sulfate reacted with the zinc and in turn it formed zinc sulfate. I hope you have learned how the equations are formed and the metals are reacting when in the form of an equation in your grade 7 itself. So, the copper sulfate on reacting with zinc, it formed zinc sulfate and copper separately. Copper sulfate, which was initially in blue in color, now reacted with zinc to form zinc sulfate, which is a colorless one, along with the copper as a powdered form, okay, in red color. This is a normal reactive equation. Okay, and in beaker B, what happened? Let us see. Copper sulfate plus iron was allowed to react. In return, what happened? Iron sulfate was formed, ferric sulfate was formed with copper, right? So this is also a normal reaction. But I noticed a difference in the beaker C, D and E. Okay, there was no changes in on these 3 beakers. Why was it so? Now have a look at these metals allowed to react on these beakers. Zinc sulfate and copper, iron sulfate and copper, zinc sulfate and iron. When copper sulfate and zinc was allowed to react, zinc sulfate is formed. The same thing in return. So whenever copper sulfate was allowed to react with zinc, zinc sulfate and copper was produced. But the same case when it was allowed to react in the vice versa condition. Okay, zinc sulfate plus copper. That is what I have written here. When zinc sulfate and copper was allowed to react, there was no changes in these beakers. Why was it so? This experiment led to the understanding of displacement reactions. That is displacement. The meaning of the word displacement means displacing, moving. Right? This is the contextual meaning. So what does the metals on reacting tell us regarding displacement? We already know about the reactivity series. Right, starting from potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, lead, copper, mercury, silver and gold. Right, so this is the reactivity series of what? Metals. The thing which the experiment interprets is any metal, whether it is zinc or copper or iron, will react whenever a high reactive metal displaces the low reactive metal. So here the copper sulfate is a compound, zinc is a separate metal. Now look at the reactivity series. The zinc comes before the copper. So which is the more reactive one? Zinc is the more reactive one compared to the copper. So the zinc displaces copper from this copper sulfate as a compound, and it separates the copper separately and forms a zinc sulfate. I repeat it again. Since the zinc is more reactive in your reactivity series compared to copper, it has the ability to separate copper and sulfate into two different components and then to pair up as zinc sulfate. Understood? Similarly, consider in beaker B, we have the copper sulfate and iron. Iron is more reactive than copper. So it has the ability to separate the copper and sulfate into two different components and then pair up into a new compound called ferrous sulfate. Right? Now have a look at these three equations. Zinc sulfate plus copper. So which is more reactive? Obviously zinc is more reactive. So the copper, which is less reactive, doesn't have the ability to separate this bond. So that is why there was no changes in these three beakers. Similarly, in beaker D, ferrous sulfate plus copper. The copper is less reactive than iron, so it doesn't have the ability to break this bond and form copper sulfate, and hence there was no change in the beaker. The same applies to beaker E also. Zinc is more reactive compared to iron. So understood? So from this experiment, the displacement reactions means any metal which is more reactive has the ability to break the bonds in a less reactive metal. Whereas the less reactive metal cannot break the bond in a high reactive metal. Understood? So it is always it would be good if you keep this reactivity series in your mind. Based on this, you can understand the displacement reaction easily. So as the name tells, displacement means moving. So high reactive metal moves the less reactive metal and forms a new compound, but the less reactive metal cannot break the high reactive metal and form a new component, and hence there is no changes in the beaker. Then last is the uses of metals and non-metals, which we have already discussed. Hence I wanted to discuss it again. So we find the usage of metals in our machineries, automobiles, aeroplanes, satellites, and even in the cooking utensils. Aluminium, iron, copper, steel. Okay. Non-metals, which is used for inhaling as a fertilizer, that is your nitrogen, purification, antiseptic, and crackers. So with this your chapter gets over, my dear children. If you have any doubt in this, please contact me, because this is going to be a base for your higher grades. From this only the reactions of metals and non-metals you should be clear with this, and in your higher grades you would learn in detail about the various reactions of these. Thank you, children.